everyone, it's Caitlin. In this video, we're going to go over the 10th major arcana card, which is the Wheel of Fortune. It's pretty much where the Fool learns about cycles and change. He learns that basically life rises, life falls, and not everything can be controlled. And I feel like the major lesson here is just to kind of go with the flow of change and, just trust that there's a larger reason behind, change basically in our life. Next, I want to move on to how it's usually depicted, and it's usually depicted as the Wheel of Fortune, or I learned it can also be called a rota, just floating in the sky. There's also usually a sphinx at the top, which can represent wisdom and life's riddles, I read. And then usually there's also a snake and Anubis somewhere at the bottom, and they can represent, cycles, fate, and descending into the material world. And then also surrounding the Wheel of Fortune, you can usually find each of the 4 fixed signs. So you can usually find, Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio surrounding the card, like in each of the 4 corners. And they usually have wings, and they're also holding an open book, which just made me think of the Akashic records. And so when I was thinking about the card, it was just making me think that even though sometimes life can, things that happen in life can seem unexpected, I feel like them holding the books kind of shows that in some way life has already been prearranged, if you know about soul contracts, that kind of thing. It was just making me think about that. And then the Wheel of Fortune, I feel like, can just represent, just show how, what's already written just unfolds over time, if that makes sense. And so as far as my thoughts on the Wheel of Fortune, I typically think of the Wheel of Fortune as usually representing time. I don't really know if that's like a widespread accepted viewpoint of it, but I usually think of time. I think about things moving forward. I think about changes. I mentioned the Akashic record, so it makes me think about, knowledge, wisdom, that kind of thing. And when I was doing my readings for Patreon earlier this year, I kept getting, quantum leaps, and it also was making me think of a message I shared last year on Instagram surrounding the Wheel of Fortune. So when I think of a quantum leap, I think of like a significant, large change that kind of seemingly comes out of nowhere, and usually it results in a lot of progress. So yeah, those are my thoughts, I feel like, on the Wheel of Fortune. Just overall change, time, cycles. And then I was also reading that the Wheel of Fortune is not good or bad, it's just kind of what is. So in terms of reverse energy, I feel like if the Wheel of Fortune was reversed, it would have to represent maybe, something not moving forward, something blocking the cycle, something blocking the flow, something blocking change, that kind of thing. I think when we think of the Wheel of Fortune upright, we typically think of progress and forward movement. So again, if it was going to be reversed, I feel like that could maybe kind of represent setbacks, delays, that kind of thing. And I feel like it could also represent maybe, returning to something from the past, that kind of thing. And so the Wheel of Fortune is not necessarily tied to any particular zodiac sign. Instead, it connects to the 4 fixed signs, which are the guardians of stability and wisdom while the wheel turns. And so next, I'm just going to move to my table and show you some different variations of the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so for the first Wheel of Fortune card, we have the Wheel of Fortune from the Golden Universal Tarot. It's got everything that I mentioned earlier in the video. We've got the rota, or the Wheel of Fortune, floating up in the sky. We have a sphinx at the top. It's actually got all 3, because some cards don't have all these, but we've got the sphinx at the top. We've got a snake over here to the left. We have an Anubis kind of over here to the lower right. Okay, and then we also have the 4 fixed signs in each of the 4 corners. Like I mentioned, we've got Aquarius right here. They all have wings too. We've got, this doesn't really look like an eagle to me, but I assume this is supposed to be an eagle to represent Scorpio. We've got Taurus, and we also have Leo. Okay, next is the Wheel of Fortune from the Before Tarot, pretty much the same as the Golden Universal. I would say these are, I'm not sure if traditional is the right word, but these are your more standard Wheel of Fortune, the more standard Wheel of Fortune imagery, I guess. It's interesting here because there is a monkey, and I'm sure that represents something, but my book is put up right now, so you can just Google that if you need to, or maybe when I'm editing I can include that. I can include a little text on the screen. So next we have the Wheel of Fortune from the, I think it's the JK Tarot. It's got everything I mentioned, though what's surrounding right here is kind of different. We still got the Sphinx right here. I'm guessing this could be another version of Anubis, and then this kind of looks, this basically is the devil, but it's how he's designed is interesting, because these kind of look, it almost looks like the bottom of like a mermaid tail, but then it also kind of looks like trees or some sort of greenery. Maybe, I guess, yeah, to represent the material realm. And it seems as though the placements of the zodiac signs are pretty standard. So you're always going to see Aquarius up here, Scorpio over here, Taurus over here, and then the Lion, Leo over here. But I wonder, I'm thinking, you know, I just kind of think off the top of my head, I'm wondering if their positions actually mean anything though, like Aquarius and Scorpio, that higher version of Scorpio. I'm not sure if that's the eagle or the or supposed to represent a phoenix. I'm assuming the color would be different if it was a phoenix, but I wonder if this kind of represents them kind of like their ability to kind of have higher perspectives. Not that Taurus and Leo can't, but when you think of a bull and when you think of a lion, you think of, you know, like them actually being grounded in the material world. So I wonder if that like means anything. Sure it does, but all right. And so then here is the Wheel of Fortune from the Healing Light Tarot. It's, I mean, you can't, I mean, it does kind of look like a wheel, and then you have like these, it looks like people kind of circling right here. Very beautiful deck. I like this deck. And then it's got like some words, excuse me, kind of in the background. This kind of looks like an eye almost, but I could be wrong. It says the doctrine, it says chances. It says a method of calculating the probabilities. I see the second edition. And that's pretty much all I can read. And then this looks like the moon, like maybe moon cycles right here. I think this is a very unique representation of the Wheel of Fortune. And I do recommend this deck. I recommend all these decks, of course, because I have them. But okay, then here is the Wheel of Fortune from the After Tarot. Wait. Okay, so this is actually the Wheel of Fortune from the After Tarot. And then this is the Wheel of Fortune from the Before Tarot. I think I mixed that up earlier. And then we have like the sun added here. We have the moon. And we don't have, you know, Anubis or the Sphinx or a snake. But then also, I mean, but then of course we do have all the zodiac signs included, of course. All right, and then here's the Wheel of Fortune from the winter, I think it's called the Winter Wait Rido. I'm not sure how you say it, but it'll be linked in the description box. And I definitely wanted to include a kind of out there depiction of the Wheel of Fortune, just a little cute example. And then for the last one, we have the Wheel of Fortune from the Dreaming Moons Tarot. So we just have the Sphinx and a snake. Then we have the, you know, the 4 fixed signs, their constellations right here. The Sphinx is like supersized and it's holding the Wheel of Fortune. And then we also have like a moon and the sun right here. But I'm pretty sure, I think those are on all the cards. Yeah, that's on all the cards. Okay, but that completes the Wheel of Fortune variations. Okay, and so that's the Wheel of Fortune. It's pretty much just a reminder that cycles, change, and higher wisdom are always at play. So next will be Justice, which I tend to typically think of balance when I think of justice, and it'll be linked somewhere on the screen.